everybody. Scott Barboza for ESPNBoston.com High Schools. As always, joined by our correspondent, Bruce Lerch. Bruce, how's it going? Took a little while to get here. Not so much snow yesterday. A lot of snow today. Game's on tonight. Go figure. But at the end of it all, we got two series here of the Super 8 that are going to be going on to Game 3s on Sunday, which will also be played here. Time's a little bit rough around the edges right now. But, and then two series that have been closed out here. So let's start with the action we saw here tonight on Friday. Let's start with the nightcap. Game 3 situation coming up between St. John's Prep and Central Catholic. Again, Colin Soucy could make a case the MVP of this tournament so far, standing on his heads. Shot differential, we're figuring somewhere in the 40 saves vicinity. Don't really have an official tally there. It was absolutely tremendous tonight. But the Eagles brought their legs early, and we talked to Brian Pino after the game here. That was the word he kept using, was kept the legs moving.
Yeah, and they needed it. It was backs against the wall for the Prep. Must win here after losing last week at Songus. They didn't play well. They knew they didn't play well. Christian Hansen said it. Brian Pino said it. And tonight it was a different story. From the drop, the very opening drop, Prep was flying, and it was led by Pino. Pino was all over the ice tonight. The team as a whole, they were everywhere. They flew, they jumped, and then, which made it even a little bit strange when it was actually Central Catholic who got the first goal. No, they popped one in. I think they only had, it might have been their second shot of the period, but it just seemed like a matter of time with the mass quantity and the good quality of shots. Credit Colin Soucy, like you said off the top, absolutely been probably the MVP of this thing. Whether Central wins or loses on Sunday doesn't matter. The kid has been unbelievable tonight. The number I had for him was about 39 saves, but it's somewhere up in that range. It was just a very impressive performance by Soucy, but in the end, the Prep finally got back to playing St. John's Prep hockey. Central coach Mike Jankowski said it best. The Prep is the #1 team in the state for a reason. Tonight we saw it.
Central actually took a 1-0 lead, shorthanded goal. Giant momentum shift, though, I thought, was after that shorthanded goal. 26 seconds later, Prep fires back, gets the power play go with Jocelyn Longo, and then Nick Gianelli picking up some garbage out in front of Soucy there, putting that back into the empty netter. Again, a pretty competitive game, I thought, overall. But let's go to our earlier game. Malden Catholic, again, showing up at the right time of the season. 4-0 win over Cathedral, the #2 seed, to win that series 2 games to nothing. No need to play on Sunday. They're moving right along. I mean, is there really anything that's going to slow down this Lancers team at this point?
Not the way they're going right now. They're playing terrific, and it's going to be an interesting matchup when they, when we see who they end up going up against. Will it be, the veteran presence of Peter Cronin, or will it be freshman Brandon Collette for CM? So we'll see that. But right now, Malden Catholic, they're playing like the team we all thought they would be at the beginning of the season. They're playing like a team that has won 2 straight Super 8 championships. And, you got to just look. No worse draw in this tournament than being the 2 seed. So, Springfield Cathedral, give them credit. They hung in there. John LaCour did everything he could to give his team a chance. They played well. It's just, Springfield was playing a perfect game early on, Scott. One bad giveaway, boom, the Lancers pounced. You can't do that against Malden Catholic. You just can't. Everybody knows it. So credit the Lancers. It's been a great end of the season run for them, and they have absolutely carried the momentum, steamrolling here through the tournament so far. They look like a team to beat right now.
Amazing stat. Aaron Nazarian, again, such a presence at the Super 8 last year as a freshman. This year, hasn't lost a stride. It's been unbelievable. That penalty kill unit, can't underscore it enough for Malden Catholic. It's been tremendous. Great work by Mike Ivana up front along with Nazarian. Got his 3rd shorthanded goal of the tournament here tonight. Absolute backbreaker for Cathedral. You could just really feel the energy kind of come out of the rink at that point. It's unbelievable to see that unit come together, and John McLean, it's the running joke, they get a lot of practice time in real game situations with that penalty kill. Well, if you kill penalties that well, they're on a Bruins-esque type run here. Yeah. It's very impressive. And then Connor Maloney has been I think pretty consistent here so far. So again, Malden Catholic with a lot of momentum going forth. But let's take a little look back at Wednesday, the 2 games that went on here. Obviously, I think no matter what unfolds from this tournament, the shootout victory by Catholic Memorial on Wednesday is going to be a highlight of this tournament no matter what. Great game, and especially that shootout. You see CM, they would have won a tournament of 3 posts pretty quickly there, hit a couple posts, come back down the other end. Collette makes some really big saves for them down the stretch. Jack O'Hare, you see that veteran leadership come in, big goal to tie it. You know, let's look at it from this way, though. Going into Game 3 with these two teams, who has the momentum? Obviously 1-1 here, but Catholic Memorial really outplayed BC High for most of that game. BC High makes the comeback. Overtime is pretty much even. They win the shootout. What can we actually learn from Game 2?
Well, I think the biggest thing that's going to come out of Game 2, from my perspective, is the confidence boost for Brandon Collette. I think as a freshman, he's been dynamite all season. Bill Hansen has been extremely proud of him in the way he's played as a freshman this year. But to actually be here in this setting and to come through on this stage, we're in the Super 8, and it was against BC High. I mean, this is big-time hockey now, and Collette was just terrific as well. And he made it through an overtime, and he made it through a shootout, as well as holding off. You know, BC High, they came back a little bit, but he didn't let it get away. You know, they get the tie, they got to the overtime, boom, went to the shootout, and he matched. You know, I mean, technically, since CM hit the post 4 times, he actually did better than Peter in the shootout. But that's obviously, you know, being a little bit facetious on that. So to me, that's the biggest thing that comes out, is the confidence for CM's freshman goalie, and they can go in armed because they know that they have an uphill battle with Peter Cronin as well. So it's going to be, you know, it's a big thing for CM to know that they've got their own goalie ready to go too. Yeah,
and then in the nightcap, the Battle of Reading ends up going Austin Prep 2-0. Elijah Harris, I think, put himself really in that conversation. We've seen some great goaltending here in this tournament, but Elijah, I thought, was tremendous. But Reading definitely came. The net front presence was there. Reading much bigger, I think, up in those forwards, and they used that to their advantage the other night. Didn't quite come by the way of goals, unfortunately, for Mark Doherty's team, but a good effort nonetheless for Reading. But again, I think the encouraging sign for Austin Prep, really in this last month or so, has been the play of those defensemen. We talked about this, you know, back on Sunday when we last did this. That group has really come together down the stretch here, and I think that was the one question. We thought they'd be able to score goals, figured they'd be able to keep it out of their net, but how are those defensemen going to play in front of Harrison? They've really stepped up.
Well, and they had to, because Reading I mean, it was really an onslaught for 2 games with Reading, mass quantity of shots. So those guys had to step it up, and of course Elijah Harris, as you mentioned. I mean, it's hard not to find a good goaltending performance on any of the 8 teams in this tournament here. But I think the biggest difference in that series to me, Austin Prep has goal scorers. Reading, it just seemed like more of a collection of really good hockey players, but they didn't seem to have that one true sniper type of player that Austin and all the other Catholics seem to have. So to me, I thought that was the biggest difference there. The goaltending in that series was terrific. Evan Morelli at the other end. We're talking about Elijah Harris. Evan Morelli was fantastic as well. But in the end, I think just, you know, it was just the lack of one sniper type of goal scorer that is, and which we know Austin Prep has several of them, and that was the difference there. They were able to get one that they needed. Reading wasn't.
We got 2 Game 3s coming up on Sunday. Let's just do this real quick, Bruce. What do you think a couple of the teams have to do to come away with victories on Sunday?
Well, I think, you know, in the BC High CM game, the biggest thing is going to be if Brandon Collette actually came through with that confidence boost. I think this is going to be a big stage for him. There's going to be a lot of pressure. He is a freshman. We'll see what happens. I'd also like to see Liam Coughlin get going for them. On the other side, BC High, I feel comfortable, and I'm sure they do too, with Peter Cronin in goal. And, you know, just the mass quantities of their depth on offense gives them, to me, the decided, a very, you know, not too much decided, but an advantage over CM. So I guess if we're going to do picks, I'd probably lean towards BC High going into that one.
I really think from the beginning that BC High was my team. I picked them to win in 3. I figure it would be that kind of scenario. You saw, I think, some things come along. I thought Tim LaRock had a couple almost there opportunities, had a puck skip over his stick at one point. He was somebody that I thought he's had spurts throughout this year where he showed that he can find the back of the net. And it was one of those games where you could kind of see it coming. The bounces weren't quite going their way, but he'd be somebody to watch out in that game. But I think BC High comes along with it because in the bulk of the experience of this year, they've been a little bit more consistent. Look at this other matchup here, St. John's Prep, Central Catholic. I think we know defensively what we're getting from Central. Are they going to be able to generate enough on the rush, be able to get enough quality scoring chances that I think they were kind of limited to tonight.
And this is what we probably didn't talk about when we talked about the game off the top, but the neutral zone play, the defense of the Prep kicking it right back out of the zone, getting the forwards flying. That was to me a big key for the Prep in the win tonight. And if they can continue doing that, this is the Prep that we thought we knew coming into the tournament. I don't know how many more rabbits Colin Soucy can pull out of the hat at this point. He may have to get a few more, but Mike Jankowski has got to find a way over the next 2 days to figure out a way to get his offense moving and generating offense. There's no question about it. How they do that, the way St. John's was flying around tonight, I'm not 100% sure if they'll be able to do it.
Well, I think what we saw here tonight is that Colin Soucy and his play, in that itself, could be enough for Central to pull out this series. But the other thing I saw, particularly in the third period, once Prep gets up a goal on an opponent and you're pressing and trying to get through that blue line and they're stacking everybody back up against you, they get fresh legs throughout. They're rolling 4 lines. They're able to roll through their defensemen. They have a lot of confidence, not only in the first and second lines, but everybody on there to be able to get the job done defensively. And that's very tough for teams to come against. I think you saw Central trying to play matchups there a little bit. And then when you get to that scenario, it's just very tough. It comes down to a numbers game. So I think I like Prep in that regard. But again, the X factor really is Soucy. He could just pull this out of the hat once again. But until then, we're going to put a wrap on this segment. For Bruce Lerch, for Scott Barboza, we'll see you one more time from the Stoneham Arena. We'll have you here on Sunday for those penultimate Game 3s. Until then, keep it tuned to ESPNBoston.com.